Good evening, our viewers. This is George Ondek, the host, and I'm here with Dave Paganelli and a guest from the Yorktown newspaper. And I'm going to let Dave introduce the guest tonight.
This is our first guest. We've been on the air over a year now, and we've never had a guest. So I'm proud to introduce Brian Marschauser, the editor of the Yorktown newspaper since January of 2015.
And it's a
Yorktown News. Did I say newspaper? See, you put that in my head.
And it's a very fine newspaper.
Well, thank you so much. I'm very happy to be here as your guys' first guest.
And Brian, I heard a very good thing happened to you recently. You were promoted to editor of the newspaper.
Yeah, that happened around January, so it's been about 5 months now, and it's going great.
So how's it working out, all right?
Yeah, I hope so. I hope the paper hasn't gone under yet.
No, I think the paper's been doing great. You're awesome with your coverage of all the charitable events and things like that. I think, you do a great job with that.
And news events and politics.
I always look forward to getting my copy. So
now,
sometimes I'm in there, which is always good for me.
It's called the Yorktowner, but
Yorktown News.
Yorktown News.
Yorktowner used to be an old paper.
That's right.
Long
You're
before I was
dating
born.
yourself.
Yeah.
Okay, but I understand you also publish in other areas.
We have 3 other papers right now, actually.
Right.
We have Mayapack News, the Somers Record, and we recently, just 5 issues, 5 weeks ago, we started the North Salem News. So,
And I hear shortly you may be starting the Cortland Peekskill
don't start
News.
that rumor.
Is that true?
Don't start that rumor.
No, but that's not a bad idea.
No, one day.
We don't have a daily newspaper
You
in that
you
area.
mentioned the word.
We
talked
sorry.
about
I
this
come
before.
back. Dave.
Now you wouldn't talk about Peekskill on my show.
All right.
I mean, really, you did it already.
I'm sorry.
We're 30 seconds into the show.
Dave, I want to get back to you now and the roads of Yorktown.
Great shape. We don't have a single pothole. It's amazing.
Not even near the
No,
JV
it's hard to
Mall?
believe,
Not
right?
even near the JV Mall as you're making a left out onto 6?
We have had out, the weather's been cooperative. We've had over 7,000 potholes.
Wow.
By best guesstimate, and that's not an exaggeration. We've been putting out an average of 24 tons of asphalt a day, 3 crews, and I'd say, if lucky, we're half done.
And let me give you a test. Are you on hot patch or cold patch?
Oh, we're on hot patch. But I did recently have a street opening permit I had to go out and look at, and the person had filled the street with cold patch. So I don't know, what the genesis of that was, but I had to say, now you need to take all that out and fill it with hot asphalt, because if my plows hit that cold patch and rip it up, now all of a sudden it becomes my problem, when the person who was building the home should have handled it from the jump.
So now that the snow season is over,
Thank
the
God.
pothole season will be over shortly. What does the highway department do in the summertime?
What do we do right now? We have a little plan, if you will. Right now we are patching potholes. I figure that we'll be doing that for the better part of another 3 weeks before we catch up. We have been sweeping the streets, which I'm really excited about, because we haven't had the streets swept in quite some time. And we didn't have it in the budget, but we did the last 2 years put 2,500 tons of sand down because of the salt issues. That being said, we needed to sweep the streets. In January, I had 2 foremen retire. I didn't backfill those positions, and I had that money already in the line, the salary line, so I was able to save $58,000 of taxpayer money and use that money to sweep the streets. So we're sweeping.
And a few weeks ago, we actually put in the newspaper, I know you said you were asking for recommendations about where you should pave, and so how many responses have you gotten so far?
Over 500.
Wow.
Wow.
Over 500 emails, not to count probably a couple hundred phone calls. Yeah, I wrote in the paper that I felt that since this was taxpayer money, I didn't want to be arbitrary and capricious in deciding what roads would get done. So I asked the residents to weigh in on it, to please, email me or contact me and let me know.
And you feel.
And so obviously a lot of people read the Yorktown News, because over 500 people emailed me.
And you filled all 500 potholes?
No, it wasn't
already?
potholes. It was paving roads.
Oh,
And since
where in the budget can you get the
I
money?
can't.
So how does?
I have in the budget enough money to pave
So
5 to 6 miles of
let
road.
me ask you then,
year.
what is the priority then? Which roads will be paved, and how is that determined, Dave?
Well, there's multiple things that go into deciding what road gets paved. And it's never how much people pay in taxes, because that's always, an interesting thing. People will send me an email and say, I pay the highest taxes in Yorktown, you should pave my road. Well, you know what? Everyone can't pay the highest taxes in Yorktown. I'm sure there's one person that does, but, and it's a matter of impacting as many residents as possible. In other words, a road that's a busy road, that as many people who pay taxes will benefit from the improvement of the road. It's the condition of the road. Some roads are so far gone that you need to, reclimate them and do them from scratch. And then it's roads that are prone to excessive speed. There are certain, we all know, nobody does 30 miles an hour, but some roads people are doing 50 miles an hour. And if that road is bumpy and people lose control of their cars, that's a bad thing. So there's a bunch of different things that go into it. But I'm grateful to the newspaper, because we were able to get the message out there. And in my world, information is king. The fact that I have people reaching out to me, I never, when I first did it, everyone said, well, are you out of your mind? You're going to let the residents decide? I said, oh, I'm not going to let the residents decide, but I will give every road that someone has called or emailed me about, I have gone out and looked at. And then I weigh it against the criteria that I feel, makes it an honest decision of what roads get done. Look, I can do 6 miles a year, all right? We have 203 miles of road, okay? It's a 38 to 40 year schedule, depending on the width of the road. It's, for a product that lasts 15 years, it's not an acceptable schedule.
You got 500 requests. Now, is it true?
Well, some of them were redundant.
Is it true that if they're reporting potholes, you have 48 hours to fix it, or the town is liable? Is that correct? That is not correct.
No.
Okay.
You need to receive written notice,
and
then somebody needs to suffer a loss as a result of it, and it's not a finite amount of time. In highway law, it says that you have a reasonable amount of time. So there has never been an hourly amount of time associated with that particular situation. And just recently, it's come that perhaps emails will be considered as written notice. It's never made it to the Supreme Court. Written notice traditionally was written notice. You write a letter, and I'm comfortable telling the residents this. If you have a problem with whether it be the roads or with any of the other departments in town, you write a letter, and it's known as putting them on notice. And then they have a reasonable amount of time to correct the deficiency.
And what do you say when people call up telling you about potholes that are on maybe state roads? Because I think people sometimes get confused that you don't handle pretty much every road with a number.
Right. No, and that's what we've told people time and time again on this show, is that any road with a number, Route 132, Route 202, Route 6, 129, 118, these are state roads. I can't legally even go on these roads. For me to do 2 don't block the boxes on 202 to stop traffic from backing up into Yorktown, it took me almost 8 months of, state bureaucracy to get to the point where I got approval to be able to go and do it. So,
Brian, let me ask you this. One important thing with elected officials or highway superintendents is accessibility to the media. How do you find Mr. Paganelli when you call him for information for the newspaper?
He's been absolutely fantastic as far as answering my questions, and I think he's very he's very easy to access, and he's always very forthcoming. And I think that's what I can speak for myself. I'm very appreciative, and I think the residents are too.
It's a in a way it's a quid pro quo, because information beneficial to me, any information I can get out to the residents is beneficial to them.
So
it's a synergy between media and elected officials that is an absolute necessity in the work that we do, whether it be the supervisor, whether it be when I was on the town board, whether it be as highway superintendent, that I find that people understand. The majority of people, of the over 500 emails I've received, people want a voice. They don't, expect you to be a yes person, but they want a voice.
So, Dave, you feel it is a government of the people, by the people, and
what
for
a
the
unique
people.
concept, huh? Go figure.
Why do certain political officials, once they get into office, forget that, even if it's a school board?
Oh, I thought we weren't going to get political. We said that always about this show. We weren't going to discuss political
They hire
things.
a PR firm, and if the media tries to get
let's
through
clarify
to
that
them,
we're not speaking about Yorktown.
No, we're just
okay.
speaking
We're speaking
in general.
generally.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll speak in general,
right.
that why do certain officials that once they get in, they forget that they're supposed to serve the people, and apparently you haven't forgotten that.
No,
After
I
all,
firmly believe it's every dollar I spend is taxpayer
I heard
dollars.
you had 30 years experience in serving the people, so you
literally
understand.
and figuratively. Yeah, serving Wiener Schnitzel. Yes,
And
I
that
did have 30
reminds
years
me,
experience.
we're doing this show, but we're shortly going to start
Oh, the air conditioners
a
came on.
second
Very nice.
show. That's nice, but sometimes it drowns out the sound and gives a buzz into
Oh,
the
really?
show.
Just gotta speak
Yeah, I
louder.
hope that's not happening.
I hope it's not.
Because I hate when we pixelate
But you
things
cut
like
me
that.
off there, Dave. I was
I'd be getting
introducing
better at it, aren't I?
our second show that we may be doing shortly.
Yes, go ahead.
You had quite an extensive background in restaurant business, and I do shows throughout the county on grand openings of businesses. So wouldn't it be a good idea to start a show, grand opening and ribbon cutting ceremonies with Dave and George in Yorktown?
Well, I think that would be a great thing. And when I ran for town board, I ran on a shop local platform. So I'm a huge advocate of supporting your local businesses.
And especially
and
small
being that I'm a highway
businesses.
superintendent doesn't change my moral compass. My beliefs are my beliefs.
You have a moral compass.
I have
huh?
a great moral compass.
What's a moral compass?
A moral
I'm not
compass
familiar
is you
with
know
that
what's
word.
right and wrong, and you never vary. At the end of the day, my barometer is the taxpayer. People would say to me when I was on the town board, you got to make tough decisions. 48% of the people hate you for the decision, 52% of the people love it, or vice versa. You do at the end of the day, I try to do what's right for the taxpayer. You know what? Every penny, when I saved $58,000, my department suffered for January, February, March, April, May. 5 months, down 2 people. And this is a department that was down 8 people before that over the last 10 years.
Yeah.
So we went out, did more with less to save $58,000 worth of taxpayer money so that we could get out there and sweep the streets. Because the last thing I want is to get a call from a mother or father and say, my son was riding his bicycle on the street and fell and broke his arm because you had all that dirt on the street and he slid on it.
Dave,
So
let me ask
I'm
you
very
this.
excited about sweeping
As
the
a
street.
person different than my moderator job today.
No,
As a
you can't be
person
anybody else.
Who once worked for a DPW and worked for a mayor in the DPW department, what are your plans for next year on the acquisition of salt and saving the people money of York?
Well, you think we had a problem with salt the last couple of years?
No, we had a problem with weather.
We had a problem with weather. See, now if it didn't snow, we wouldn't have had any problem with
And if you can
salt.
save one life, no matter how much you spend, it's worth it.
Look,
That's how I feel.
you know what? We kept our town open. We got people to work. We kept people safe. Certainly, there was one storm where it kept freezing over, rain. We'd salt it. In that one day, we spent over $220,000 in salt. Other municipalities neighboring us, all right, who shall not be named, had to send out robocalls to their residents telling them not to leave their homes because it wasn't safe. Shut down roads.
Wow.
Have massive multi-car accidents. You know what? We got the job done, and that's a testament to the men and women of highway, the men and women of all the other departments that come out and help us out. People say, "Oh, Dave, you did a good job considering." My job is orchestrating. Other people go out and they do the work.
But I asked you a question, Dave.
Yes. What am I going to do
What
about
are your
salt?
plans on salt and keeping the costs down for next
Well,
year?
it's not so much the cost. You got no control over the cost.
Okay.
All right, because you're buying off the government state bid. All right, so the Office of Government Services, the OGS, decides who has the salt for various areas. And we pay less than Putnam pays. I mean, Westchester's pretty lucky. The problem the last 2 years with salt, last year it was a shortage. All right, and it was, I often find it's kind of akin to gas shortages. They're designed to push up the price. This year it was a problem with delivery. So I reached out to the salt company and said, we're not getting deliveries. This is a problem. How do I address this? The salt fiscal cycle runs from September 1st till August 31st. There are 31 days in August, right? Yeah. August 31st. Okay. Unfortunately, the town fiscal cycle runs January 1 till December 31st. So now all the money for this cycle has been spent. If we could order our salt in September, we'd have it all delivered within a month and a half, 9,000 tons, okay, which would be enough to get us through winter. We're in a very fortunate position that my predecessor had a lot of foresight. We have 2 salt barns, hopefully, I'm hoping that at some point we'll end up with a salt barn on the southern end, down, because Yorktown is geographically a huge area. It goes all the way from, Pines Bridge Road all the way up to the top of Wood Street. It's 39 square miles. So what we're going to do, and I had spoken to the town board about this, we're going to try and order our salt in September. Hopefully take the money out of fund balance. And then like we did last year with getting the 4 trucks, unfortunately they didn't come until March, which was a little late in the game. But if we order the salt in September, we have the barns full. We won't have to worry about enough salt and determine how we treat our roads. We won't have to put sand on the roads, which will then allow us to go on a 3-year cycle where we just continually clean various areas of the town in terms of sweeping. We won't have all that sand. And then we backfeed the line from the budget when my budget comes out, like we did with the trucks went into a capital plan, but we could have backfed it from somewhere else.
But we're ignoring our guests tonight.
Yes.
Brian, I'd like to know, Brian.
Yes, Brian.
Let's know a little bit about your background. Where did you get your educational training to become a newspaper man?
Well, you could say it started as early as Yorktown High School because I was actually born and raised in Yorktown, and then
Were you a cub reporter for the high school
no,
newspaper?
I wasn't actually.
What made you get interested in news? Let's say.
Honestly, it started as early as sports. I started interning because of my love for sports, and I started interning at ESPN Radio in New York City.
Oh wow!
And then I found out that SUNY Purchase offered a journalism program.
That's an excellent school, by the way. I'm not a graduate of, but I took a few courses there because I got bored with the business background I had, and I took a couple of television courses.
So walk us through it.
Yeah.
They have fantastic teachers.
Give us the history.
SUNY Purchase?
So you went to SUNY Purchase.
Yeah.
And then
it's
you graduated.
Yeah, I graduated in 2010.
While you were there, you were interning, right? At
yes,
ESPN?
Yeah, intern at 1050 ESPN Radio. Now it's 98.7.
How did you make the contact with ESPN?
I was listening to the radio.
Yes.
One of the hosts on the Max Kellerman show, he's a HBO boxing analyst. He goes, "We need interns." So, being the go-getter that I am, I emailed him. Just said, "Hey."
So intern is a non-paid position.
Yeah, and I did that actually for a few semesters. So
what happened after that?
How
did you make the contact into print?
Will you let him finish the story?
No, I got
he's asking me.
Throwing off his line of thought.
No, it's perfectly fine. I graduated in 2010, and then I started freelancing for the few online sites. You got the Patch and the Daily Voice. Then I landed a full-time job at the Daily Voice. I started covering Chappaqua, and that kind of moved to Pleasantville as well. And then eventually I started covering Yorktown in June, I think it was June 2013, or June 2012 actually. And then Yorktown News kind of stole me away in March 2013. I've been there ever since.
You don't know this.
What did you start as, reporter?
Yeah, started as a reporter for Yorktown News.
You don't know this, but I have a bucket list, and one is to be a newspaper reporter, another is to write a book, and another is to hit big time.
What about? I thought you wanted to jump out of an airplane with a parachute.
No, that's George Bush at the age of 90.
Okay.
I do not want to jump out of any planes, especially with the pin in my leg from my Vietnam and Army services.
So let me ask you something. Being the editor, with great power comes great responsibility.
That's right.
That was Spider-Man.
Well, yeah, I'm not necessarily on the taxpayers. They don't pay for my salary or anything, but I feel like I kind of do work for them because you
owe them a fair representation.
Exactly.
Of what's occurring.
Yeah, Exactly.
Do you find that difficult sometimes?
It's a balance because, covering politics is always tricky, especially town government, school government.
Politics.
I'm just saying it's all about maintaining relationships.
But I mean, you don't. It doesn't seem to me that you miss, even in terms of all the charities and stuff. You don't. You give a lot of exposure to the charities, and I'm on the board of the Support Connection, and we are, we're grateful for the exposure and the support that the paper offers all the charities. That it's huge because Yorktown is blessed with a lot of great charities. Everybody in Yorktown, whether it's the Alliance for Safe Kid, my brother Vinny, there's so many great charities, and the Relay for Life and the Support Connection. That having a newspaper that's empathetic to the cause is a great thing. Empathetic, is that right?
Dave,
sympathetic.
You're
sympathetic
on the board
which
of
word? I'm like the slip Mahoney of the English language.
Dave, you're on the board of Support Connection.
Yes.
That's an excellent group.
I've been involved with Support Connection for over 15 years.
Recently, with 2 businesses in another town, I helped raise about $1,000 from.
Thank you. We appreciate that.
Days that they've had.
Thank you. So, we were talking earlier.
Yes.
And we were speaking about, I think you were honing in on, a second show that we might consider doing, like a business update. And I think that, you had mentioned grand openings, but I think also, if I was gonna put my name on a show like that, my feeling would be we would cover all businesses, not just newly opening businesses.
Yes.
Give everyone a little time, bring business owners on, let them discuss their businesses.
And in other towns other than Yorktown, they promote that on their government channel. I'm sure. I'm sure Yorktown would do the same.
That would
thing,
certainly
right?
be. I think we had spoken about this,
So
back when we did the show
Dave,
with Nick.
Let's do it then.
Well,
how's that?
we'll have to put
I'll
it
set
together.
the wheels in motion.
Yeah, I think that would be. What do you think? I mean,
And maybe
it would
we
be a good
could-
thing,
I think
right?
it'd be a great idea.
Maybe in Yorktown we can get the Small Business Council and the Chamber of Commerce to
we
work
bring
with us.
Well, we bring them in too, and
Sure,
they do so much
I
to
believe
promote
in
business.
Dave. I believe in inclusion, not
Right.
exclusion.
That was
Everybody
well
should
put.
join. You like that?
Yeah, that was
Maybe I
good.
should
That
be a
was actually very
politician, then,
lucid.
Dave.
Surprisingly.
Dave, was that a left-handed swipe?
Yes, a backhanded
At least
compliment.
he's a truth.
A backhanded
At
compliment.
least he's
if you
a
will.
truthful person. That's what I like about
So has it getting back to you, has it lived up to your expectations? Has it been like this job for me gave me a tremendous amount of renewed respect for the person that did it prior to me, because it was far more intricate and more complicated than I thought it would be. And how do you feel about your job?
There are times when it can get stressful, but I love it because every day I meet new people, I cover new events, I learn so much things, and I think I love having a job that every day is different and every week's different.
Yeah, it doesn't. Well, that's like my job. It doesn't get boring because every day there's a fire to put out. If you will. How are you enjoying being the moderator? Is it working out okay for you?
I enjoy it, and I think this is working very well. What do you think, Brian?
Hey, I'll
You're
come
good
on
at
every week. Come on.
questioning people. You didn't have any questions for the moderator tonight.
So how
Do you
many
have a
how many
question or
hours
two
would
for
you
me?
say you put in a week?
Wow.
Oh, jeez, that varies from
Come
week
on,
to
you gotta
week.
know. You gotta have an idea.
How do
80,
you find,
90, 100?
I won't go that high. I would
No.
say some weeks it can get as high as 70 to 80. That's because I work 7 days a week a lot of times. And this weekend, I am covering the My Brother Vinny walk, so I'll see a lot of people
I will
there.
be walking.
That's right.
I will probably be cooking hamburgers and hot dogs with the Lions. I'm a newly.
Are they free?
I'm a newly.
Oh,
I use this word.
FDR Park when?
Right. This Sunday.
So what's the date on Sunday?
Sunday. Gee whiz.
Because I want to be there, get some hot dogs
Well,
and
this show probably
hamburgers.
won't air prior to that,
I
so
know.
it'll
Yeah,
be a moot
yeah.
point.
But I want to be there, you know.
Oh, you want a free hot dog? You got to
You
walk
said
and
it.
donate.
No, I'll
That's-
make a donation.
The Lions
I was
support all the
at the
charities.
doggy walk last week, ASPCA.
Yes.
So I support
My
a lot
daughter
of
was
things.
there with our dog.
I support a lot of
Yep.
things in Yorktown, although I'm not a Yorktown resident.
You're
yet.
Yorktown at heart.
Yes.
Yes.
Yo-
inside
I say,
you, inside
I say
you're green.
Yorktown, your town.
That's right.
But it may become my town one of these
Well,
days.
you never know.
Because being a guy of 39 plus, who knows? I may wind up in Jefferson Village with a
Jefferson
lot
Village is
of my friends.
awesome.
With a lot of my friends from
Yep.
the JV Mall, the vets on the second floor. You know them guys? You ought to stop by and do an interview.
I know all about the Jefferson Village
World
guys.
War II vets. Every day they're in the JV Mall having coffee and solving all the problems of the world. And
they never discuss politics, right?
No, they discuss in World War II still.
Oh, gosh.
Guys like Lenny and the whole group there.
Give a shout out. Go ahead. Give a shout out to your friends.
Okay, Lenny, the World War II vets. Hi, boys. I'll see you tomorrow morning. We'll be having coffee, and I'll be doing my morning walk. I walk an hour every day.
And I'll say, let me say this.
I'm promoting a Yorktown business now in
Thank you,
JV Mall.
all veterans who've served this country.
Memorial Day
so that
is
we
coming.
And Memorial Day is coming.
Yes,
absolutely.
that'll be a week from
It'll be a week
Sunday,
from
Monday.
A week from Monday. Yep.
You'll all be saluting the American flag.
We will indeed. It's a great day. It's a great day to be an American. It's a great day for those that have served.
By the way, Brian, you may not know this. I'm a Vietnam vet.
Oh.
I'm a disabled Vietnam vet. And I served my country, and I served that flag that's behind you.
God
and
bless you.
I want another town to have a
Is
flag.
it okay to say that in the air? God bless you. That's still okay.
God bless.
Yeah,
I don't think
okay.
anyone's going to
Yes, we don't have to be.
We want to make sure we're, we want to make sure we're,
actually,
we're politically correct. God bless America.
I won't mention my
okay
town, but they started with a prayer now, so apparently it's all right to say a prayer at a political meeting.
Good.
But fellas, I can't believe how the time is flying.
Did you just get the notice? How I didn't look. How
The
many
2
minutes?
minute, the
The
2
2
minute
minute warning.
Wow.
So we got to give Brian a minute, and then you
Yeah.
wrap it up, Dave. What
I don't know
would you
if I
like
could-
to say in closing, Brian?
I don't know if I could speak for a minute. I'm not that great of a
Oh
talker.
yeah,
but.
you could say you love your
Promote
your
your
new job as editor,
newspaper,
and it's
Well, yeah,
challenging and
I'm grateful for all my
If
readers.
people have a breaking news
You're
story
taking his minute.
like I do
You're taking his minute.
a lot, how can they read?
They
Oh,
can
that's
email Yorktown News at halstonmedia.com. That's HALSTON media.com. So Yorktown News at Halston Media. And, we respond to every
Do you
news
have a
tip.
phone number that people can reach you even in the off hours if there's breaking news?
So you're putting me on the spot because I don't even have my office phone memorized.
Okay.
And I'm not giving out my
All
cell
right,
phone.
I'm sorry. Okay, let's go to Dave. Wrap it up, Dave.
Yeah, well, you know what? I'm very pleased with the show. I'm very honored that Brian was our first guest in the over 3 years that we've been doing this show.
Wow. Let me shake your hand,
Yep.
Brian. You did
It's
a
been a
great
you.
job.
pleasure.
You've
Hopefully,
done
yeah.
And
Hopefully
you've
our
had a
ratings
great
don't
and
tank.
I'm grateful for like I said, I'm grateful for the relationship all the elected officials in Yorktown, enjoy with the Yorktown News and with the Examiner as well. I mean,
They
with all due
both cover
respect,
your paper,
and
your town. Excellent.
it's so, I can't stress it enough. It's so important for us to have access to the media to, not to self-promote it, but to get our
And
message
as
out
he
there.
said, without the fourth estate, the taxpayer or the citizen wouldn't be
right.
representative. So we salute newspapers. And
We do.
with that,
Indeed.
we're wrapping up till next month.
And next, can you give me the red shirt memo if we're going to wear red shirts? Because we
Okay,
had
we're
that
gonna
one day
red
when we
shirt
both
you.
wore.
You know, in
Valentine's
hockey,
Day, I think
in
it was.
hockey, if we red shirt you or football, that means you're out
You're
of
out.
the game.
That's
But
right,
we
you're out
wanna
for a
keep-
year.
All right, till next time. Have a great Memorial Day, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dave. Thank you,
Oh,
Brian.
P.S.
Thank you, George.
If the sweeper comes down your street, please pull your car into your driveway, because as it sweeps, it has to swing out. There's a big trail of crumbs in front of your house. All right, so that's my closing. Thank you.